how long did it take you to ramp up, bro? Because I mean, 3 years to get to here is nuts, bro. I don't own a house in Hawaii or a house in
Welcome to the Winning Move podcast. We have an amazing guest on today, my friend Alex Camacho, the world traveler, the man who's everywhere all at once. Thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Stratton. It's great to be on. I know we're going to talk about a lot of subjects, so I'm excited and definitely an open book. And let's get to it.
Bro, let's get going. I don't know anything about your backstory. What'd you do? Let's talk about childhood, how you became an entrepreneur, and what that thought process was.
Yeah, so I grew up in the San Fernando Valley in Southern California. So it's like the suburbs of LA. Humble beginnings. My parents are immigrants from Mexico, so they met in Tijuana, TJ, and they immigrated over to LA, and we landed there. And so I got a twin brother. He's also an entrepreneur now, and it's kind of an interesting fun fact. We did some business together. I'm sure we'll maybe talk about that a little bit. And then I also just right out of high school, man, I got into banking, which is pretty cool because it was a good financial foundation, I like to say, because none of my family had really been in anything like that. And so I got to know the financial industry through banking, and I was there for about 5 years. I loved it. I was making good money. I was learning a lot. But I did see there was a kind of that ceiling in banking where like you're only gonna make 80, 100,000 a year and cushy job. And I've always been ambitious because I grew up with nothing. So I always wanted to, be something because my parents sacrificed to come out here. And so, just kind of that. And so I went into the mortgage business. I'm older, so I'm 41. Well, I mean older, just like a lot of people are in the game. They're in the 20s,
You're not old.
25, but some people tend to think I'm a little younger than that, but I've been around a little bit. And so, yeah, man, I got into the mortgage business before the 2008 crash in like 2005 or so. And then really killed it for those 3 years or so before the crash, and was making, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I had a mortgage company. And then everything just fell apart. I mean, I had the toys, I had a couple of houses, but I was highly leveraged. And, I didn't, there was no money down type of loans, and didn't really buy any multifamily, any real assets. It's cash flow, and wasn't flipping or doing any type of investing. It was more just like making money, hustling, selling loans, and then everything fell apart. Well, I like to say that part of the story because, I fell flat on my face. I was back on my mama's couch. And it was tough. It was tough for several years. But what happened is it enabled me to get into the mortgage bit or into the real estate side of it, because I had always been on the finance side of things. And then I started doing a bunch of short sales, and those short sales opened my eyes up to flipping real estate, because the investors at that time were making a killing because there weren't that many around, and I was negotiating these great short sales at these killer deals, and then they were buying them, making a bunch of money. I'm like, damn, like I kind of on the wrong side of this thing. I think I should give this a try myself. But I didn't do anything for some years. I fell back into the mortgage business a little bit on the wholesale side. I did some property management. But my dad was a manager of restaurants growing up, and my mom was an entrepreneur. She owned a house cleaning business. She also cleaned houses, but she owned a business where she brokered the deals out. And so I think I got, to answer the question, a bit of both of like, hey, the management and leadership a little bit from my pops, and then the entrepreneur spirit from my mom's, and the people skills. And then I went into the mortgage again, and then I did Airbnb arbitrage for a little bit. I was tinkering and testing because I made some money already, but I had lost it all, and I was just like, how do I come back up? Because I thought I was going to come back up sooner than like 3-4 years. It took longer than that. And then 2017, I started really getting deep into the investing side and listening to Bigger Pockets, and some Steve Trang stuff, and the real estate disruptors and all that. And then I decided to go all in and work for somebody, because I heard that it kind of a good way to get in. I had a lot of sales skills and had some experience in real estate, but not necessarily the investing side. And I worked there for about a year, did 14 deals. He was a flipper, very successful. He cherry picked stuff. He keeps the good stuff, the most small multifamily, that. And then, but I wasn't making very much money. I was learning. And then I went to work for a bigger company that was doing a bunch of deals, like over 150 a year. And I learned a lot of systems there. They had a different buy box. They were more like buyer tighter deals, but like in a specific area, and entry level kind of cosmetic flips.
Okay.
So yeah. And then after all that, pretty much I saved enough money, and then I just decided to go off on my own and start my own company about 3.5 years ago. And then it's been it's been a great ride. I've learned a lot, and at this point, I got like 28 doors. I'm flipping not 20, 30 anymore because we've kind of taken a step back from buying a little bit because of the market. But you know, we're getting our bumps and bruises, but we're still profitable and we're making adjustments. And I met you at a meetup recently, so it's been great to like connect with you and all the amazing squad that you're around over there in the Central California. And so I'm glad that I'd be able to kind of share my story with you on your platform, and I hope to be able to do the same on mine once we launch our podcast sometime later this year.
Oh yeah, and let's talk about your event real quick because me, Dean, and Jason will be going down and speaking there at it.
Yeah, so it kind of evolved. We started just hosting meetups at our flips because it was something that we felt that could be beneficial, win-win, and we saw other people doing it, so we're doing that, and it kind of grew. And then my brother, as I mentioned, he's an entrepreneur. He has a cannabis kind of brand, and so he has a warehouse where they, you know, they do some creative stuff, and they're branding their cannabis company, and they already host events there. So we started hosting events there like about a year ago, a little more than that, and the first one had over 100 people. It's a great space to host, and so we started doing it like every 45 days, and you know, and then the goal came out to be like, I want to host like the biggest real estate investor free meetup in SoCal, but just something cool, you know, with the DJ and drinks and, you know, all that stuff. A lot of networking, and so we did that. We pulled it off. The last one we had over 400 people. The one we're having now, though, we kind of, because the market's shifted, we want to have more higher level and people that are action takers and that are doing deals right now. And so this one is the first paid event. Not very much, it's like $100, or VIP is like a couple $100. And it's not really we're not doing it to make money, but just we want to, you know, to create that environment and also educate people that are taking action, see what other people working for other people, and continue that of just like the collaboration. And you guys had a fantastic event over there, and I was super impressed. And you know, it was like, I think it was like 600-700 people, right? And I met a bunch of people there at your spot. So it's all about just connecting and then elevating. And we're just, it's next week on January the 24th. It's a Saturday all day event, like 9 to 5.
Hell yeah. Well, with our event, the reason we charged is because we're like, bro, we could get 1,500 people to RSVP, but then we'd have like 500 people show up anyways, right? Because people, when they pay attention.
100% and 100%. So I mean, I'll be honest, we kind of saw yours and we're like, hey, I think we need to charge 2 for ours because we'd rather have more of an event like that. So then it just creates a little bit of barrier entry from people that are not willing to, you know, just the looky loser can come in and not do anything. That, I mean, how much does that serve, you know, the community if they're not going to take action? Like nothing, right?
Exactly. And then what we do is we still have our free events, and we throw those like once a month. But then now we're gonna go, I believe, quarterly. We'll try and get like a bigger one on, and then 2 a year that'll be paid.
Yeah. How did you guys start that? How long have you been doing it?
Bro, I've been doing it for like 4 years. Jason's been doing it for 4 years. Dean's been doing it for 2 years.
Wow.
And then we didn't get big until me and Jason flew out Pace and Jamil right before COVID. And that one had like 250 people, 300 people. I don't even know. And that was the big one. And then me and Dean and Jason all got together like, hey, let's like throw some bigger ones together. Just provide back to the community. Me and Dean already do business together, and I've done business with Jason as well. And like, so we're all friends.
Yeah.
And it was, bro, it's gone.
You guys are powerhouse, man. All tall, good looking dudes. I'm like, I'm short. Well, damn, but no, it's cool, man. I got so much value by going to that event and what you guys talked about, but also the connections, all of it, man. So big fan myself.
Bro, what did you learn the most from working from the dude? Because you started the same way as I did. I worked for a guy for a year and a half and hardly made any money.
Yeah,
the best thing I could have ever done.
Yeah, I think initially it was just how to analyze a deal from the investor perspective, rather than just because I had been a listing agent, so it was natural for me to look at real estate and evaluate it. But when you're looking at it from actually spending money, rehab, ARV, you know, after repair value and all that, it's just a different analysis. It's a different perspective. And I think he was such a successful investor. I just paid close attention of like, how does he look at it? Because I remember part of his interview with me when I got the job, because it was a job, it wasn't like an internship. And he had me analyze these deals and say, what do you think the ARV is for these? And then I saw what he bought them for, and they were like below any of the lowest comps or any of the lowest acquisitions. And I'm just like, man, like all of his deals were like monster deals. Like, how did you buy this house for this cheap? And so I think that now analyzing deals and then negotiating with sellers and just the art of negotiation. I would say I'm pretty skilled in negotiation, but this guy was on a whole nother level. And I learned, I mean, one of the things I learned with him was pretty funny, is that begging actually works. Like I would see him beg sellers for a price reduction. And I mean, kind of went, yeah, bro. And I would be thinking in my head, like, this is already a monster deal. And like you're begging this guy for like another 10 grand off, and he would get them to do it. And he's like, I really need your help on this. Like, can you really work with me on this? I really need your help, please, please. And then he would get them to like budge. That wasn't all he did, but that was a couple of things.
Oh, I can't do those. I can't do that. I can't bring myself to do it when I already know, like, bro, it's a fucking banger. Like, let's just fucking get the deal done.
Yeah, but that was a strategy that he would renegotiate every deal.
Every
And you and I don't do that, or I'm sure you don't, but I don't like that because you rub people the wrong way and it's already a good deal. I'd renegotiate when needed on new data.
Exactly.
On the
Like
deal.
if it's like, hey man, like we got to renegotiate. I'm sorry, this is the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he did on everything as a strategy. So learned a lot from him about that, how to do that effectively. But I don't implement the same strategy in my business now.
I mean, it works.
It
works.
does.
I don't think it's bad morally. There was a dude who was like, bro, there's sellers shopping you anyways. Like they're shopping your offer anyways. So like they're gonna treat you the same way. You might as well do it the same way. I'd say I just don't have the balls to do it.
It's definitely an art form, and it's a valuable skill to be able to reduce. I mean, because and another thing he would do to that effect is he would spend extra money on the inspections of property, so he would have ammunition to have those conversations. Like, right, he's getting his roofer to get an estimate that's super aggressive and high, and he's not going to pay that, but it gives him ammunition to ask for that price reduction. So it was standard. He'd get all the inspections paid for and spend like, $800 a deal, $1,000 a deal, because he's going to ask for 10, 20, 30,000 off. And if he gets it off a couple of deals, I mean, like it's just business wise, I guess it's
bottom line.
it's smart. But I learned there that every business is not created equal, and you could take the good that you learn from your mentors, and other stuff you could just leave behind, because not all of it's going to be applicable to your journey forward.
What did you learn the most from the second one?
I think systems, also the focus on data, and then being an expert in a specific area, because they focus predominantly on buying stuff in South LA and East LA in certain core areas, that's like staying at the medium price point or below for that given market, and just staying and living in that entry level type of like single family space, and just mastering that and doing volume, because they were kind of like a mini hedge fund. So they were buying like 30 houses a month when I still remember working or analyzing their LLC as to how many properties they owned to do my homework before the interviews. And they own like 193 houses, like on title. Like this is like houses
Like active.
Yeah, like, exactly. And that was just like mind-boggling to me. Like, how do they have all this capital to buy that many houses? Because it wasn't wholesale, like they were taking them down. And then once I began to like work for them, they had like 6 project managers. They were set up in an interesting way, kind of like a trustee sale acquisition, primarily, where they would have two of the what they call them quarterbacks, where there would have these 4 big screens, and they have like the bidder at the auction and on the phone, on speakerphone, and they have the project manager driving the properties to see that they're, the condition of the property, at least from the exterior. And then they were, making bids and doing all the analyzing deals live and all that. And I just found that super fascinating, because it also helped me like just expand my horizons on like, man, these guys are buying houses like you would buy shoes, like a shoe collector would buy shoes. Yeah. It's like, boom, every day. Okay, we bought that one, bought that one, bought that one. And so it just kind of like that volume was super interesting, because where else would I get that type of experience being on the inside of a company that's buying that many properties? And because of that, all that volume, and plus all the deals that I was buying, I was getting so much reps and looking at so many deals, and they were thinner deals. Like we were buying stuff, in a minimum profit, I think at the time was $35,000 to $40,000. But they had so much capital because they had a $50 million line of credit with big banks, and they had like another like 30 million from like private investors. So they had $80 million to deploy. And so it was like, we got to churn this money. So it was more about that than it was like, okay, some deals are going to lose money. So got to see a lot of systems and their strategy, and see, okay, I saw this guy's system and strategy, see this, and then I combined them, and I'm doing some volume, but also I am focused on certain areas. And I do love that entry level price point. I don't do high end stuff. I don't do development. I buy houses, kind of in that entry level price point across multiple markets in SoCal.
What is your entry level price point down there?
So there's a couple of sub like markets and like submarkets, and so in core Los Angeles is like to say, which encompasses like South LA, East LA, the San Fernando Valley, all like LA County. I try to keep my purchase price under 500,000, ideally 450 or below, to have an ARV of 600, 650 up in there. Because the average house in LA in a good neighborhood is going to run you about 650 to 700,000, typically, depending on where you're at. And then in the Palmdale, Lancaster, which is more of a kind of like commuter town, it's hour and a half outside of LA. I love that market. I've done very well there. We try to buy houses under 250. The ARVs are 350, 400. Median price point there is about 400,000 now.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. How much did I don't know if you know this, but the people you worked for, how much did their volume drop during COVID? Because I have a friend who did that and their business essentially went away.
Yeah, I still keep in touch with some of the people. I actually have kind of like a quarterly call with the accountant. I got really tight with the money people in that company because they're the ones cutting my checks. So I'm like, I wanted to be close to them, and he's a cool dude. He ended up since moving up to Tacoma, Washington, but he told me that they're just buying conservatively and probably buying about 60% of where they're buying before. And then there was 3 partners, so I think they split, and there's like one doing, there was 3 partners and 2 of them went their way, and then another one, they did their own thing, so they split companies, and they're still buying, they're still active. I still see their flips. I could tell by I could just tell by who's the listing agent. I could tell by the actual pictures. Like, this is a flip. And actually still kind of look at their LLC just to see what they're buying still, a little bit, just because they have a lot more money, they have a lot more data, and they're still,
they know, they'll know. They know a lot more than we do.
I'd say about 30-40% drop in acquisitions, at least, is what he told me.
Wow. So how long did it take you to ramp up, bro? Because 3 years to get to here is nuts, bro. I don't own a house in Hawaii or a house in
yeah, thanks, man. There's a lot of things that led to that, but I think the first year and a half was the toughest because I left that company and I had like close to $200,000 saved, and I just wanted to save enough money to be able to flip 2 houses at once and then do that twice in a year. So that would be making like, say, 50,000 a deal times 2 is 100. Times 2 is like, I'm making 2, I want to be making $250,000 or so a year, flipping like a handful of houses and having a cool life. That was kind of the goal. It was pretty simple. And then, but it was always my goal was always to own a real estate investment company and not just be an investor, because I just found it to be like, it matches a lot of my skill sets. I love, like just the win-win of acquiring and either selling real estate or holding it, all of the above. And so that first year and a half was tough. I talk about this because some people maybe have a little bit more natural leadership skills. I don't think I do. I'm more of just like, hey, I can go and grind and hustle and do the work that's necessary to get deals. But like leading people has been kind of a huge learning curve for me because it's just messy. It's like, and people, and also I'm not perfect. And, so that was a real learning curve. But then I, started working with Ryan Pineda in his Future Flipper, Now Wealthy Investor coaching program about 3 years ago. Around that time, a little after that time, I started my company, and it really helped with like the structuring of the company, of hiring and firing, of, social media focus, of leadership. He's, a great leader, and I think of him which will as far as marketing and all that. But the guy does have great leadership skills, and he's helped me kind of grow as there, and also with Brandon Turner and getting close to him has allowed me to like grow in that kind of space. And I'm proud of kind of where I am now, fast forward, because it certainly took a lot of like mistakes along the way.
How did you get close with Brandon Turner?
So that's an interesting story too, because when I left that company about 3.5 years ago, my girlfriend at the time wanted to go to Hawaii. So since we were both fans of his and had listened to the podcast avidly for a while, he was on Maui, and he would be kind of vocal about that and whatnot. So she DM'd him and said, hey, we're on Maui, and where do you go to church? And then so we went and he told us where he was going, and I planned on maybe seeing him and saying hello and getting a picture. But I kid you not, man, after the service, he sat down with me for close to 45 minutes, bro, just talking about what he was working on with his
Really?
Yeah, with the mobile home park acquisitions, and it was just like epic because like this is like one like icon in the business, right? I've been following him for like 2-3 years, and he was just like, I'm sitting next to Brandon, like I want to pinch myself, like this is like this guy's talking to me, we're having a great conversation, and then at the end of it, he liked my story. He's like, man, this guy hustles because at that point, I'd saved that money and I was going off on my own, and I did have a couple deals like under my own belt at that time, like because I'd done some deals kind of at the tail end there on my own with my own marketing. And then he throws it out there. He's like, hey, I got this mastermind coming up in like 10 days. I don't know, maybe short timing, but if you want to come back to Maui for a week, I send you a link. I think you'd be a good addition. We got one slot left. And I was like, sign me. What do you think I said, bro? They sign me up. So yeah, man, I went to that mastermind, and I like to say that I was the smallest fish in the room, and that like I was just lucky to be there. And it blew my mind. I met Ryan Pineda there. I met investor girl Brett there. I met a ton of like high level people there. And then I went and executed for a year after that. And he saw that. We stayed in touch. These high level relationships, you can't just like be bugging people or like constantly. It doesn't matter if you attended one of their events. It's not like you're going to be besties, overnight, right? And so I just kind of was strategic, and I got in close with his like inner circle, just like got in tight with his people, as Ryan Murdoch and all these other people that he worked with. And so that way I could keep a pulse on him, but without having to bug him directly. So that's a little bit of a trick. And then, yeah, man, about a year after that mastermind, COVID, it was the middle of COVID. Everything was, just a wreck. And he was doing some flipping with a partner on Maui. And he's just like, hey, man, I like what you're working on. You like Hawaii? We're looking to do some more deals here. You interested in coming wholesaling and or working with this partner on deals? And just, he kind of opened the door for me to move to Hawaii. And he was kind of watching my stuff. I was selling my primary residence. I broke up with my girlfriend at that time, the one that, I went to vacation with. And then, I sold my house and I just moved to Hawaii with some money and had like 3 ongoing flips in LA and just began to live a little bit more remote. But I had all that other experience that helped me to do that. And then I got close with him and, continued to like attend his mastermind every year since.
Jeez. So you moved out there completely.
Yeah,
that's why he moved out there, to do more deals with Brandon.
Yeah, well, what happened was that he proposed that I was going to be like, essentially, if I hit my numbers, I'd have been like a 30% partner. He was the money guy, I was the acquisitions guy, and his partner at that time would have been doing all the other details, project management, all that. Because what I realized is that guy that he had been working with also had a full-time job, also had his own portfolio, and so he wasn't really performing at the level that Brandon was really expecting to, to work with that type of person and call yourself a partner with Brandon Turner like that. I mean, there's a really high bar, right? Yeah. And so at the like 5-yard line, he calls me up and says, hey, I'm moving like in 2 weeks. He's like, I don't want to do this deal no more. It's just not going to work out. That person, it's not about you, it's this person. I just don't feel like I got to focus on Open Door Capital. I got to focus on Bigger Pockets. But you're welcome to come move to Hawaii. Like, we'll get you on the podcast with Bigger Pockets. We'll, help you out with your branding and just, surf and snorkel and with us over here. And then worst case, we move back to LA after winter because it's a great place to be, in Hawaii in wintertime. So I still moved and it was great because I no longer had the obligation to like actually do deals in Hawaii, but I had the opportunity to like be aligned with him and be there. And kind of, there's a lot of, investors there too. It's not only him, there's a good base of people that moved to Hawaii too. Some because of him, some other people just, there's a lot of investors that end up, making money and then want to move to Hawaii.
So how good is that community out there as far as like investors? Because I'd say in Fresno, we have a solid community of people, but again, everybody's busy, right? It's not like you're hanging out with everybody every day.
Yeah, it's solid. I mean, I'd say it's similar in that like everybody has stuff to do, but because I've done deals now 3 of the 4 major islands, and I own 3 houses now, long term, 2 on Maui and 1 on Oahu. So I began to network heavily when I got there too, because since Brandon recommended, he's like, yo, like you don't really need to start doing deals here right away. You should make sure that, he used this analogy using the hands, like don't try to build 2 bridges at once. Yeah. So like make sure that your income producing vehicle in LA is rock solid because you've never managed remotely like that. And he was right. And so I, sat there, worked on things for 3-4 months before I even explored, investing and buying deals out there. And that was very valuable because I wasn't competition. I was just coming in, enjoying, the island life with them. I was able to network, see what was working for them. And then they allowed me to get to know what, people there. And that was very helpful, once I did start to do some deals there. So yeah, it's solid, man. I think it's a lot more helpful. I mean, no disrespect to the LA community, but like it's a lot. And also, I have an 18 unit, a multifamily in Arizona. That is my first multifamily, and I feel like Arizona and Hawaii have both been very collaborative and very just like I feel like people are helpful. In LA, not as much.
I feel like LA is pretty cutthroat though, bro.
Yeah, but that's also why our communities flourish, right? Because we're go-givers and all that. We have the mindset of collaboration like you guys do up there. And so I think that's also helped us with our branding and people wanting to come to our events because they know that we're not trying to sell them something automatically, and we're not trying to just take. We're providing value, and then later on the universe rewards us more than we even expect. So yeah.
But, I mean, even with us, bro, I'd say so. I have something to sell. Dean has something to sell. Jason has something to sell, but we just don't sell it. Like we're just like, hey, like you're here for this. You're here to learn. We got you. Like if you are interested in doing stuff, just hit me up. Like we can hash it out and see if you want to do it. And that's helped out a lot. Why did you buy the other 2 houses on the other island, or you have 2 on Maui and then 1 on the other island?
Yeah, on Oahu or Honolulu, where everybody knows that. But so I flipped the house on the big island in Hilo. That was just a deal. I actually got that from a wholesaler in Arizona. I ended up flipping that. We were making some good money, and I got to see the island a couple of times, build some relationships there. But that one was like just kind of there's a lot of price variation. But I bought the house for 180. We sold it for low threes. And that's but that island has a lot of land, and it was like not a area that I would want to keep a property, and it just was like in the hood and all that, and it was just kind of remote. So, and then I bought about 2 houses on Maui. The first one was the one that kind of a lot of people know because it's like a huge house, and it's a couple of streets down from Brandon's house. But that one, we initially bought that one. We did Driving for Dollars. We sent postcards out. It was a tired landlord. Originally it was just gonna be like a hotel deal where we just bought it and we were gonna close on it, clean it up, put it back on the market. But there was a lot of hair on it. Like there was 3 tenants in there. It was COVID. Hawaii's tenant friendly. A lot of moving parts there, but I've negotiated with dozens of tenants in California, cash keys and all that. So I was confident once I did the walkthrough and got to know the tenants and their profiles and everything else to be able to negotiate with them once we closed on it. Also, I was able to bring on a joint venture partner because we were buying it for 1.35 million. We expected that we were going to be able to sell it wholesale, or we were going to try to wholesale it for 1.45 and make 100,000. And then I pitched it to Brandon, I pitched it to Josh Dorkin, I pitched it to a bunch of people there, but they just were uneasy with the whole tenant situation. But I knew it had enough meat because the ARV was 175 to 19, and it was a house built in the early 90s, and it was like 3,500 square feet with a beautiful ocean view in South Maui. Wailea is commonly considered like the Beverly Hills of of Maui and stuff. So it's adjacent to that, and I knew there's a ton of upside there. So I found a joint venture partner partly through that networking I had done in the previous past in there. And then he loved the deal. He flew out, he passed the COVID restrictions in the moments notice. I'm like, now this guy's serious. I wined him and dined him and everything, took him to all the cool beaches, went to all the stuff, and he was just all over it. He was like, all right, cool, I'm in. And so he put up all the capital to actually close on the deal. And I negotiated seller finance during escrow, just all my skills. And I call that one my Sistine Chapel, bro, because it's man, it required everything out of me to get that deal done. Savvy seller, savvy lawyer representing him, everything. And we got that negotiated and gave us some runway to keep the property because of the fact that our payment was low. Now we did have a lot of challenges because on that one I had to negotiate with cash keys with 3 different tenants. I had to fire 2 different contractors. I had to fly in a crew because it was so hard to be on time, on budget with the lack of labor and supply shortages. So it was just a ton of problems. We ended up, listing it because we were feeling, okay, well, man, we got a lot of equity tied in here. And then the market started just shooting up, bro. And before we knew it, my partner was like, bro, this thing's low 2s right now. We're into 1.6, 1.65 or something. It was let's try to keep this. And I was like, sure. And fortunately during that time, we both, my partner and I, had our financial situation had improved during that time. So neither of us really needed the payday either. Yeah. And so we went for $2.8 million sale. We didn't get our price. We got a 2.45 cash offer. It would have been a decent payday, but I'm like, this, I'm gonna make maybe a $250,000 to sell this like trophy property.
Yeah, that's a asset.
Yeah, exactly. And so that just we went back for the refi for a second time. We were able to pull it off. We took a loan out of 175 and appraised at 2.7, and now there's nothing for sale for anything under 3 there. So
Bro. Yeah, that one's an awesome one.
yeah, so that's one. And then I have a flip going on. Well, I mean, I might keep the property. It's in town. It's not the best location, but it's a nightmare to get the permitting done right now. I'm in just the trenches with trying to get the permits to get that one. I might keep it, might not. We'll see. But I bought that one for like 500,000. ARV is like 900, and it's like a 2,000 square foot house in Maui. Like it's pretty hard to houses in Maui, you go average of 800,000-900,000 minimum, and so I think there's some upside from that one too. Appreciation is a real deal in Hawaii because it's an international market. Everybody kind of knows it, but now I've seen it. And then recently I bought, or actually in the last year, I bought a beach house from a very seasoned investor in LA that knew I was in Hawaii. We built a relationship. He got a deal in Joshua Tree, California. That seller had this other problem property in Hawaii. He helped me. He wanted me to help him vet it as far as like numbers and everything and logistics as far as contractors for him. I just rolled out the red carpet, and then he says, "Hey man, you want to buy it off me? What would you offer me on this one?" But he had a smoking deal. This thing is like on the water, on the west side. Now, some people don't understand this, know this, but there are still ghettos like hoods,
Yes.
entry level price points on the water in Hawaii. So he had this thing locked up for 340. ARV was like 750, 850, like 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,100 square foot house with the pool, but just trash, just bad, situation, really bad, really bad. But I'm like, man, and so I'm like, he's gonna want 100. He's gonna want 100 at least. Like I wouldn't sell this thing for anything less than 100, like wholesale fee. And so I offered him, 440, and he took it. And then now we're about refinancing and keep that one. It should appraised for somewhere around 8. We're into around 6 and a quarter. So hope to get most of my money back out and burn that one out. But it's also subjective because like there's stuff comping like really from like 7 to like 9. And just like it's a huge range. But I'm gonna keep it. It's on the water, it's on the pool, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. And honestly, Oahu is a little bit more of my speed. I love Maui, but Oahu is like just got everything, the hiking, more people, like more opportunity for, I think, for business overall. I have a lot more friends, so I'll probably eventually in the future be spending more time in Oahu than I think Maui.
Maui pretty slow.
Yeah, there's nothing to do at night. We call it Maui midnight, and that's 8 p.m.
Really?
Yeah, bro. So if you're trying to party in Hawaii, they ain't gonna be in Maui. So, but it's still beautiful. That's and it's really to rejuvenate and vacation and or spend some time with like loved ones. So it's magical. It's amazing, but there's nothing to do at night.
Yeah, that's not for me. That's not for me. I had another. So you did that.
Yeah, so I got a couple, but I'm not trying to scale up and do more deals in Hawaii because it's kind of a little bit difficult. It's just more of like the right deals come up, I'll buy and keep. But now I'm transitioning, be more in SoCal again. In the last like 4 months, I got this house in Hollywood that I'm at now. I got a monster deal on it. So I'm just going to be here in LA a lot more because my business has grown and it's just better for me to be here. I can make more money and it just makes things better for me if I'm making more money in other places I like to be at anyway. So.
Exactly. So, but what was the pain like for that dude? He just didn't want to deal with the tenants on that really good house you guys are keeping. And
Yeah. So
no pain in LA and there's no pain in Hawaii is the thing I always think about.
No, like, there's pain. Well, first is he had taken out a hard money loan for 400,000, so he didn't owe anything on it until he bought that hard money loan for 1 year note. I guess I learned later that he had some couple of. And this is common with like people that have money that their kids are kind of a mess sometimes. And I think his kids were like in legal trouble and he had to take out this quick hard money loan or whatnot. And then it came due, and then COVID and COVID was really like people didn't know what was going to happen. This guy is older, and so he's not making it out to Hawaii that much. He has these 3 tenants paying significant market rent. He kind of grown a relationship with them, didn't really want to like deal with the pain of like relocating all of them and all the issues because one of them was really combative, like the one that had been there the longest. And so like, but he had been telling them like, I'm a seller, but they thought he was pump faking and not going to do it. And then finally I come in and I'm like, yeah, we're buying this and we're about to close on it. And I went there and negotiated and got that done. But the pain was like the tenants, the hard money loan coming due, and then all that,
What was the biggest issue with negotiating with those tenants, especially the combative one, bro? I hate dealing with tenants. Like that's why we're buying storage because I hate tenants.
I think the first thing is just like they have this attitude of entitlement of like almost like they're owners of the property. And then I come in with this like, hey, I'm an owner, I have rights too. Just like you have rights, I have rights too, and we're gonna work this out. I'm gonna help you get into the next phase of your life. Like, and it's not gonna be in my house. So I'll be sweet and polite and when I need to be, and I could also be aggressive. I mean, I got into shouting matches over the phone with this guy. Like, yeah, like I'm not fucking playing, bro. Like we're gonna figure this out. And what was crazy about this, that guy was a nudist. So he would literally walk around naked, and that's why he let all the shrubs, the green, and like all the landscaping go overgrown. And when I walked the property, I could see like, dude, if we just trim these trees, the view is gonna expand like tremendously. This is a huge value add. And he was just, this guy was pretty sophisticated, but what the trick was, it was really, they were paying on time and they knew that eventually he was going to sell and they were not broke. I mean, you're not in Hawaii and broke most of the time, right? And so I knew like if they just get some free rent and they get the right number, they're going to get it. So I padded $35,000 for cash or keys.
Yeah.
And then so I knew I was going to have a strong part of giving this guy 20 grand to get out and giving him some free rent. And then like, he could have dug his heels though. And like, there was an eviction moratorium. So I legally couldn't even evict it if I wanted to, but it had a huge spread and we had negotiated. Remember, I only had a $5,000 monthly nut on that. So because it was my partner, I put $600,000 down because the guy wanted $400 to pay off the hard money loan and $200 in his pocket. And he carried the rest at 6%, which was better than a hard money loan.
Oh yeah. That's way better than a hard money loan. Or that's fire.
Yeah, but yeah, that, and then the other lady, and I knew once I negotiated with one, then the rest will fall because they team up together, right? They've all been living in the property together. And so I kind of worked and see who's the first one I can get to fall. And the downstairs lady, she was a single lady and she'd been there and she was pretty sweet, but she was also kind of a bit manipulative and she'd be sweet one day and then kind of like aggressive the next. I'm like, I could play this game. And so, I gave her a strong offer too, 10 grand and free rent. And then, so I was able to get her out. And then the other studio guy came out. He had only been there for a couple years too. So he wasn't that attached to the property as the other two. But once that lady downstairs was out, then I started doing what we call like a construction eviction, right? Because now there's construction happening on the property. Guys are there. It's disruptive. It's like it's not your home, bro. Like you got to go. Like I understand your situation, but this is my house. Like you're gonna have to go eventually. So take the money, or like I'm gonna make your life kind of a little difficult because you're making mine difficult. We could both play that game. So yeah,
I fucking love it, bro. So tell me about your portfolio. Where are the majority of the doors? You have some in Hawaii, Arizona, then LA. What are the ones you have in LA that you're holding? Because like 18 plus 4.
Yeah, so I have 18 doors in Phoenix, Central Phoenix. That's a value add play that we're in the middle of now. Great location. And then I have 9 single family rentals. 3 of them are in Hawaii, and then the 6 are here in LA. Yeah.
Okay. What made you want to buy single families in LA? Because that just sounds like a shit show to me personally. Like I don't want anything to do with houses in LA.
Well, I just think I'm familiar with it. It's simple. I get stuff at a good price. I can do a burr on it. Say what you will, but there's also a lot of appreciation here in Southern California. So I bought this house in Hollywood I got a monster deal for $430. We put in 20 grand to relocate the tenants, and I put 125 into the rehab, which was supposed to be 100, but I really decked it out to my house. And then so I refinanced 600,000, cashed everything out, and it appraised at 850, and it's still going up. So it's holding strong even despite all the changes with the market. So stuff like that is appealing to me. Of like, hey, I could have stuff in prime area that has a lot of upside potential, and and that you can't find it in every market. And I know there's also a lot of, barrier of entry, and I'm a beast, so I can do it. Some people are not, like they don't believe they can do it, but I do. And this is my hood, this is my areas. I know I can do it, and I've proven it. So part of that too.
So what does your business look like now? Because Will's your partner, correct?
Yeah, so Will runs acquisitions, and he's also helped run part of the operations of it. I wouldn't say we're partners because he does get a very generous compensation package. I own 100% of the company. It's
Okay.
me, but he does, he's a valuable, huge part of what we do. And so he runs all the sales and acquisitions, all that. I have 3 acquisitions managers. That's recent because we hired 2 new ones because we had let go of 2 of them. They primarily focus on just all of the deal flow. And then I have 3 project managers currently because one is in Hawaii and handling that one over there. But that's more of a contract type of, kind of team member. And I have 2 here in SoCal that handle the projects here. I have an operations supervisor, Mikey. He handles a lot of the details that, and works hand in hand with Will on that stuff, on executing everything. And then I have an executive assistant, Ashley. And then I really love the intern model, to be honest with you. But aside from the interns, I have 5 VAs. So, and they have a variety of roles: social media, marketing specialist, project manager. She supports the project managers, and she has an assistant. So like 2, let's just call 2 project management VAs. And then I have one VA that's a bookkeeper, a transaction coordinator.
Why do you like the intern model? I've done it before, and essentially I still believe if you don't pay, you don't pay attention.
Yeah. Well, the way I structure it, and I learned this from Brandon, is where I track people through social media. I track people through, networking that earlier on the journey that appreciate, what I've already built and what I've already learned, and think that I could help them speed up their learning curve. I don't intend for them to be like, in any way, like working for free forever. It's just like I pay for expenses. I pay for, if they're going on a trip with me or something like that, regarding something like they're helping me out. And it's really kind of like a 90-day program where it's just like, hey, you're going to not get paid per hour for that specific stretch of time. But in that time, you're going to grow. You're going to help me out. You're going to have your expenses paid. And then once we're done with that period, you're either going to evolve into a full-time team member because you built enough value, or we've identified that, we're better off with you than not. Or you're going to go off and do your own thing and be better off because we work together. So it's more of kind of that model, not necessarily like, oh, I just have people working for free and not doing that, not and just doing menial work. Like, it's just helping me to expand my bandwidth and just focus on things that I do best. And so it's more of that. And then I've gotten some of my best team members through that model that have turned into, like, Mikey. He's getting paid well, and he's learning a lot, and all that good stuff. And he's a payroll employee now, and he also gets bonuses, and he's, integral part of what we do. And he came through that model. And then Carlos, my other senior project manager, I like to call him the general. He's also positioned to, like, not only make good money with me, but he's also going to be part owner of that 18 unit. I'm going to give him a slice of the equity because he's really stepped up his game in every facet I could imagine. And I want to give him the golden handcuffs. So there's ways that I, position people to be able to, like, stay with me long term once they pay their dues, as I did. And not everybody's going to have my path, but I want people to pay their dues before they actually, earn before you learn, or learn before you earn.
Yeah, learn before you earn.
Yeah.
So what are your goals this year, bro?
Great question. So first is, I think, stabilizing the rental portfolio, because we're not cash flowing that much yet because the 18 units like taking a lot of capital and not cash flowing. So I'd say first is get that 18 unit to the finish line. That would either be a refinance or a sale, a profitable sale. So we're close. I think in the next 2 quarters we'll be able to get that one there. Secondly, would be to maximize the other 9 doors. And I do also have a penthouse in Mexico. That is, I didn't buy that one. It's just a lease, but it's like my second home. And so I'm going to start to make sure that that's also cash flowing in some ways, a little bit, kind of do that kind of a little bit low key, like I mentioned. And then doubling down on kind of what's working. So I would like to do a monthly, like more of a monthly, like be the LA RIA kind of. Over in SoCal, where it's like, okay, every month, same time, same day, and not necessarily shoot. And we'll also do other events, but like just like a monthly meetup thing, continue to do that. And then a big goal for mine is I want to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I've done decent on Instagram, but I like to step my game up on that. And really, when I go on YouTube and I see, like, if you type in like on YouTube, like LA house flipper, right, or LA investor, like that, not many people come up. Sure, you got your Tarek Amusa who's on TV, and all that stuff like that. But Ryan Pineda pops up, and he does not do deals in LA. So I want to be that dude on YouTube, like for like LA house flipping and or investing. So that's kind of an important goal for me. And then I'd like to continue the deal flow of what we do. Is like 20 plus properties here in SoCal. We keep 10, 20% of those, burn those out, and then whatever we make from the profits on that, continue to buy more long-term assets like in, like the 18 unit. I'm also very interested in this year doing a self-storage deal. If we could just get that 18, when we get the 18 unit to the finish line and how that turns out as far as liquidity event there, I'd like to go ahead and reposition monies from there over to a self-storage deal.
Would you rather hold it, the 18 unit, or just
I would, but because of the way I structured the acquisition, there's some, changes in the market. Rents are compressing. We're gonna have to do some more midterm, short-term rentals. I'm having to extend that 1 year note with the lender, it was supposed to be less than 1 year or 12 to 18 month play. Hopefully getting that done sooner than a year. Doesn't look like that's gonna happen. So, May is gonna be a year. So we're likely gonna have to extend that out and then see where the market goes there, but also cash flow it through doing a hybrid of short-term, midterm, and long-term tenants on that 18 unit.
Oh, I see. Bro, I love your energy, by the way.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. You got great questions, man. We're going deep.
I know, bro, I know you got to get out here pretty soon. What is what's something you'd want to leave the viewers with, and where can people find out more about you?
So I'd say just the number one thing is to make a decision and make commitment in this business that you're going to be an investor, you're going to be investing in space, and go for it. Because like I grew up with nothing and I made something myself, and then I lost it all, and then I came back up using this vehicle of real estate. So I think just having that sincere belief is important of like, hey, I'm going to do this. It might take me some time, but one way or another, I'm going to figure it out. And then just get around people that are doing it, because like it just gives you so much more confidence when you see like normal people that you can relate to, that you feel like that you're, there's something like, very similar to you, you can do it. And if people want to get in touch with me, I mean, I'm always, available through Instagram. Alex Camacho TV is my handle. And then I have a bunch of webinars I did. Will and I did like 100 straight weeks of free webinars week, and we'll put all of them on Instagram. I mean, free game, bro. I'm talking about deal reviews, special guests. So we're gonna now launch our podcast, but we've been busy with the events and other stuff and adjusting to the market. So if people want some free game, I got hour-long webinars on there, negotiating with tenants, a bunch of subjects that I'm really proud that we put up, and I think people get value from. So yeah.
Hell yeah, you guys need to go check that out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I don't have anything else for you, but bro, thank you so much for coming on, and you guys all have a great day.
Yeah, let's get it.
Hell yeah. All right, we're done. It'll stay recording, but the team will just cut it out.
Yeah, that was awesome, bro. Thank you, man. You really grilled me on some good questions there. You went granular.
Thank you. But I'm heading out to you next week.
Yeah, it's 28th. It's you'll be 8 days. You're gonna come for like one night, or I mean, I'm sure what's the plan? I mean, I don't know all the details, but we'd love to, I know we're gonna have an after party after the event, and I'm sure it's gonna be epic, bro. I appreciate you guys coming and supporting.
Oh yeah, bro. I don't know what we're gonna do. I gotta talk to Jason. Meeting and Jason are gonna talk on Monday, but I think me and Jason are driving down. So I don't know if we're coming. I think we're coming that Friday. And then we'll probably be there the night before, and then we'll wake up, and then we'll probably stay Saturday night too.
Okay, so maybe we do a dinner the night before if you guys get here early enough or something, but just keep me posted. We'll set something up on that. If I know you guys are talking to Will and all that, so I mean, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. Let me know if I can do anything else for you, and I'll see you in a week.
All right, brother. Have a great day. Hope your ankle feels better. See you.